as a lifelong Marvel fan, I have opinions about who should be joining the cast, the roster of Marvel Rivals. In terms of gameplay, I also have specific things I'd like to see and certain roles I'd like to see heroes or villains take on. And I would definitely like to see more villains. We don't have very many on the roster right now. So here are 20 heroes and villains that I would like to see in Marvel Rivals. First up, the two that we're very likely getting next season, in Season 8, are Cyclops and Devil Dinosaur. Very happy to be seeing them both, especially Cyclops. I think Cyclops is going to be a DPS. I mean, his whole power kit is shooting, lasers, or whatever you want to call them, concussive force beams out of his eyes. So that is going to be a central part of his character. I could see him being, having a little more health than 250, like maybe having 300 or even 350 health. Almost like Mr. Fantastic, where he's like in between DPS and tank. He's got more health, but I definitely want to see an ability that lets us ricochet beams off of things. Even if we're not controlling the ricochet, if we just fire a beam and it ricochets around the map and different characters, that'd be really cool. Very excited to be hopefully playing a Cyclops next season. And Devil Dino. We know less about how Devil Dino will play because we don't know if Moon Girl is going to be with him or not. He's very likely going to be a tank. I was thinking recently, his primary attack, if it kind of needs to be a bite, right? If it's just him, and the animation for that could be pretty slow. So I don't know, maybe Moon Girl will be a big part of his kit, and it will be almost like a cloak and dagger situation where it's two characters. But either way, I'm excited to play as Devil Dino, and I think it's very likely that he's going to be a tank. And I think that will suit him really well, and he'll probably be pretty unique. Even Jeff doesn't really have a bite attack. All right, now into the realm of pure speculation, because those two I already mentioned are basically confirmed, heavily hinted at. Now I'm gonna name some people who, these are characters that people really want to see, and that's 2 more X-Men. They could come in the same season, but I don't know, Rivals tends to really mix it up and not really match characters sometimes, like Deadpool and Elsa, for instance. Although sometimes they do, like Rogue and Gambit. Yeah, like Emma Frost came with Ultron, for example. Those two have nothing to do with each other. Black Cat came with White Fox. Those aren't related, And if Cyclops and Devil Dino come together, they're not really related either, unless the story takes place in the Savage Land, which I really hope it does. Which is a loose correlation still. But anyway, my next 2 X-Men on the wish list are Professor X and Nightcrawler. Professor X, I definitely see being more of a strategist, and I hope he will be, because we already have 2 telepaths in the game, 2 mutant telepaths. Emma Frost, who's a tank, and Phoenix, who is a DPS. So it would be really cool if the third one we get is a strategist. I know Psylocke is there too, but I mean really powerful telepaths. Psylocke is more on a regular power level for her telepathy. Anyway, that's really getting into the lore. I would count Professor X as our 3rd major telepath, and I think him being a strategist would be really complementary to the whole roster. And I think that he should probably be in his, Krakoan design where he's standing up. And I think that's just more likely. It brings more of the moral ambiguity that he gets into later on in his journey in the comics, and especially in the Krakoan era. Yeah, I think there's lots of cool things that could be done with a strategist telepath kit. Next, we have Nightcrawler, who could be either a DPS or a specialist. I mean, strategist. His teleportation would be really cool, maybe a little more involved than Magic's. Magic's is, of course, extremely short-ranged. Nightcrawler could teleport in and like be able to teleport away with team members. That would be really great and useful. And I could also see like the cloud that happens when he teleports could like give off a healing effect or something like that. And I think his like primary fire should definitely be swords. He should have swords because he's always really cool when he's got those like swashbuckling pirate swords. And just to add on to that, he should definitely have like a marauder like pirate skin. Two heroes that I'm surprised we haven't gotten are Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, because they're very popular. Of course, Captain Marvel didn't really take off with the mainstream audience, but Miss Marvel is very popular with comic audiences, and Captain Marvel has a very important part in Marvel continuity, even if she wasn't successful with MCU audiences. Captain Marvel, I think, kind of has to be a tank considering how strong she is, but she definitely has like very ranged attacks, so I think she will be a very different tank than what we've seen. We of course have a flying tank with Angela, but she doesn't really have a lot of ranged attacks. She's more like kind of just flies right in there and kidnaps someone and fights them. Whereas Captain Marvel would be flying and would likely have ranged burst attacks. Could be very powerful. You would have to definitely figure out how to balance that, and maybe that's why she hasn't made it to the game yet. Now, as far as Miss Marvel, I kind of see her as a tank as well. She would play very similarly to Mr. Fantastic, likely. They have similar powers of like elasticity and growth. But Mr. Fantastic maybe should have been a tank, and Miss Marvel can like fully take on that role. I guess she could work as a DPS as well, but then if her and Mr. Fantastic are taking on the same role, then that's really doubling up. So I think she would have to be a tank. She really fits with the Marvel Rivals vibe, you know, with like Squirrel Girl and other heroes like that. She's very much a fangirl, as most people know from seeing her in adaptations. A few of the villains I want to see in Marvel Rivals are, one, X-Men villain, Mystique. I think she would just be such a good hero in the game. Like amazing opportunities for skins, first of all. And second of all, the shape-shifting. I know Loki already kind of shape-shifts, but they could put a new spin on it with her, and it doesn't have to be her ultimate. Like, it could be a more regular part of her kit or something like that, and it could really cause some chaos. I mean, Marvel Rivals is full of chaos already, but it could cause more chaos. So, and she's just such an interesting character, and of course has the relationship with Rogue and Gambit, who are already in the game. The next villain on my list is Green Goblin. I think he would just be a lot of fun. A DPS, of course. Oh, I forgot to mention Mystique, probably a DPS. And of course, she'd have a primary fire of her guns. Yeah, Green Goblin, DPS, of course, flying DPS on his Goblin glider. And I think he'd be really fast. Kind of like the way Spider-Man can just like swing around the map so quickly. Green Goblin is going to be able to match speeds with him, I think, with flying on that Goblin glider. And then he, of course, has pumpkin bombs as his primary fire. Doc Ock would be amazing, just like with those 4 mechanical arms. It's going to make him so big and bulky. He'd have like some incredible pulverizing attacks. He'd be a tank because of how big and bulky his arms make him. It'd be a pretty unique tank design, in my opinion. And another unique tank villain we could get is Mr. Sinister. One of my favorite X-Men villains. He's so exuberant. He's so full of life. He doesn't care about anything. He has no morals, but he's very flamboyant, and it's a part of his personality that he encoded in there because he is like a master geneticist, so he made himself into a mutant. He changed his personality because he thought he would be more successful with it, and he maybe is. He probably is. He's certainly more of a fan favorite now, I think. I really loved reading him in the Krakoan era, and he has, like others on this list, amazing gameplay opportunities. I think he should be a tank. And of course, a big part of Mr. Sinister is his clones. So he's cloning people, he can clone himself. Tank characters have shields, Emma Frost. Magneto, etc. Mr. Sinister's shields are going to be clones of himself that, you know, absorb damage, a little bit like Loki. Another character that their power set just creates so many unique opportunities, and their personality adds so much to the game. Next, back to the X-Men. I want to see Iceman. I know we already have Luna Snow, who's an ice-themed hero, but Iceman is just so powerful in the comics, and there's so much they could do with him with the ice slides. It would be really cool to see ice slides all around the map that he could just slide over. And he would be more of a DPS for Luna Snow's, of course, a strategist. Next, we've got Kitty Pryde, who I would see as a strategist. I don't know exactly how they would incorporate her powers. Obviously, a really cool power set of phasing, but there aren't a lot of like projectile things that she has, so she would have to be a very melee style strategist and healer. So maybe that involves like phasing through teammates to heal them, and maybe she can like run into the fray of like a huge fight and not be hit with damage, not getting hit by enemies, and is able to run into allies to heal them. That seems pretty powerful, even though she wouldn't have a ranged attack or heal. As her primary fire anyway. She maybe could for her abilities. I mean, Lockjaw could be involved in her kit and kind of give her a ranged ability with like some fire breathing or something. So it's a top 12, and there will be 8 or more characters covered in the next video. Subscribe for more videos, leave a comment down below of what kind of videos you'd like to see about Rivals or Marvel, books, comics, anything else. Let me know down below. I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.